My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weather. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Acre, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack. People are driving parasites through me from a remote location. I can also hear their voices. They are very hostile and demeaning. They keep threatening me and my family, and they are premeditating our deaths. To save time, you'll have to refer to my other videos for the full story. I have to report criminal activity at the moment. Last night and this morning, they've been driving worms. They drove a worm through my jaw and they attacked my teeth nerve. Then I have worms behind my jaw. It's like behind my face, like through here, but in front of my neck. And they assaulted me at the back of my jaw. And then they also drove worms through my brain. So they drove worms around the peripheral of my brain, maybe a half inch in, and then went up. I had one right here, here, on both sides. They attacked my frontal lobe this morning, and then my inner brain. Because they're doing this for spite. They're addicted to it. This is Scientology. Okay, what I'm about to tell you, it sounds crazy, but it's true. This is my experience. From what I have observed, there's more space in the universe than humans can see. There are extra dimensions. There are 11 dimensions in total. Plus, there is this dark matter or dark energy attached to the particles in which we consist of. So, humans have biology in these extra dimensions. All organisms do. We have 11-dimensional biology with a dark particle attached. Because we can't see this dark matter from the third dimension, but it's there. Okay? We utilize this extra dimensional biology to have an afterlife. So when we die, we live on, utilizing an extra dimensional biology. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology while they are still alive. Yes, I'm very sick. I have brain damage and my jaw damage to my jaw. They're doing this for fun. This technology that they use has a narcotic-like effect on these people. It elevates dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin, and it also elevates hormones, testosterone and estrogen and growth hormone. It is putting all of the men involved are they're extremely machoistic. I don't know if or if you haven't experienced a guy that has high levels of testosterone, they become angry, violent, extremely irritable, and they like to kill people. They like to take out the competition. Uh, Plus, yes, they have elevated neurochemistry. So Scientology, the human genome produces an 11-dimensional organism with horns on our head. We are Anunnaki. Human beings are the descendant of Anunnaki. That is our bloodline. We have 11 dimensions. We are very robust. We have extra layers of biology. We can fly. We are designed to survive in the extremities of outer space. Yes, we go to outer space when we die. So Scientology likes to remove this extra dimensional biology from themselves, and they modify it using technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle, a biology in which they can drive around in the upper dimensions. So I'm very in pain. Please get away from me. You're breaking the law. I see these people. They are here on their upper dimensional biologies. You're breaking the law. Yes, I made a couple videos this morning and it changed their behavior. They started pulling worms out. Now my brain feels numb. My jaw is throbbing. I'm in pain. But you'll have to refer to my other videos for the full story. People are driving parasites through me from a remote location. So remote control parasite, worms with teeth. I have several different species, some of which are genetically engineered. All of my local hospitals have been afflicted. Somebody with government authority has gotten to all of my medical professionals and they won't let me receive help. So I guess I have to go somewhere else. So I've had a bunch of x-rays and scans done and they didn't find anything. so I went and got a copy of the scans myself. And some of the files look modified. There are shadows and dark spots. They look like it's been scrubbed. And then the file name is titled Monster. And it's at the hospital. Yes, I can hear their voice. They are making a snuff film. So this is Scientology. While Scientologists use technology, biotech, they have digital devices that interface with their brain and central nervous system. This technology does several things. First, they have devices that interface with their sensory perception organs. So it records our sight, our hearing, our smell, our taste, our touch. And it allows other hive members to also experience our senses. So it allows other hive members to see and hear and smell and taste and touch what we do. As they call these preservation devices. It is a civilian company. Then they have devices that stimulate our brain and central nervous. So they can stimulate areas of the brain such as the emotional center. They can make us feel sadness, joy, happiness, or even sadness or cry, and even make us cry. They have a screen that interfaces with our visual cortex and our thalamus. Uh, you can stimulate the screen yourself in replacement for the visual part of our thinking process, or they can stimulate it for you and show you. They have devices that interface with our sexual organs. They can have sexual experiences with each other. We have auditory phones, a thalamus phone. Yes, the pain is subsiding a little bit. It's been bad this morning. Yes, now I have holes in my brain going straight up. These worms, they run the length of my spinal column, the base of my skull, and they sit underneath of my brain, behind my eyes. Then I have one that goes straight through my corpus callosum, I guess. It looks like my brainstem. Comes straight through the top of my brainstem. Uh, so there's also an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inner dimension. If you remove extra dimensional biology, no matter where you take it in the universe, you are still in this biology because of this entanglement property. What happens is you can't take energy from out of the particles. And this extra dimensional biology is made of the same particles in which we consist of. It is the inside of the particles that we are made of. So when you try to take energy out of the particle, it leaves you space time in between you and the removed biology shrinks to zero as it's leaving you. They use this entanglement property uh, for another hive mind technology. So they have compounds set up on Earth. These compounds house uh, bio or extra dimensional biology for Scientologists. They like to remove brain tissue mostly, specifically brain stems, our thalamus, and our eyes. They have little pods that they install this brain tissue in. Yeah, sometimes they remove the whole thing. They can remove layers or a part of their biology. Sometimes it's just the dark particles, but they house all different kinds of biology. Then within this storage system, they interface this biology to a computer system. So they use electrodes and sensors and devices and things, and it interfaces this biology to a computer system. From there, they can interact with each other in the digital landscape, and they can communicate with each other. And this computer system also acts as a command center, so they can drive the rest of their upper dimensional biologies, including surrogates, other organisms. Um, so this extra dimensional biology, it presents itself in layers. As it grows out of us into the next three dimensions, it creates a biology. And then as it transcends into the next three dimensions, it creates a layer on top of this biology. And then it does the same for the next three dimensions and the next three, and so on and so forth. It winds up looking like one of those little Russian dolls with a doll inside of a doll inside of a doll. So Scientologists like to remove most or part of this extra dimensional biology. And then they like to separate the layers. So they like to remove the layers from themselves. And they wind up with three or four biologies in the upper dimensions in which they can modify and try to turn into an upper dimensional vehicle. See, these biologies are incomplete in this state. Our third dimensions can't survive missing organs. You can't lose very much biology, or you can't survive. So they had to leave organs and tissues behind so you can survive. Well, these upper dimensions wind up missing organs and tissues, which allow them to function. So these Scientologists have to take biology from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly. So they take organs and tissues from other humans and other species, such as reptiles, insects, and worms. Yes, they steal body parts, biological theft, body snatching, or soul thief. So they make a few types of alien forms. There are the grays, the greens, and the blues. They make lizard people using lizard body parts. Then they make insectoids or bug people using insect body parts. And then they make worm people using worm body parts. And they also use worms to complete most of their Scientology process. So they have to use stolen body parts to complete this Scientology process. And they also create surrogates. So they can drive other organisms that are not their own. They can drive humans, animals, insects, worms in any dimension. They're doing to me. And they're assaulting me at the moment. I feel sick. I'm in pain. So I was kidnapped by this hive. They found me on social media. I was a political activist. I participated in politics a lot. There was a large group of people that did this, and I had a large following. We discussed elected officials, lawmaking, policy, environmental issues, and we participated in issues. So we participated in elections, lawmaking, and policy. And I'm also an author. So I'm part Native American of Lakota descent. My Native American name is Crazy Bird. I wrote Crazy Bird comics, which is Crazy Bird. He's a Native American warrior and scientist um, that goes around saving the planet, fixing environmental issues, the same things that our environmental scientists do today. And he also focuses on human behavior and politics. Then I wrote Thunder Beings. I didn't do much in it. And then I wrote Buffalo Bob. It's when Crazy Bird gets older and gets a name change. I am very sick. Now they're hurting my frontal lobe. And then I wrote the Environmental Creation Agency, which is a government agency that replaces the Federal Reserve with a science council. And this science council approves the spending of buffalo dollars or divine currency. Once a transaction is approved, this currency converts into normal currency. It can be spent on anything under the law to help us achieve better environments. It pays for things like state of the art houses, higher education, uh, highly nutritious foods, state of the art phone service, state of the art clothing, things like that. And I also wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, which is about helping species uh, on Earth evolve into a space-faring species, because humans are not well adapted for space travel or for life on other planets. So we'll have to help ourselves evolve and other organisms evolve into life forms that can survive on other planets, survive space travel. Yes, and it's also about celestial beings, creating celestial beings, and several other stories. So they started exploiting me. They installed hive mind devices, which allow other Scientologists to read my mind. They sold seats to other Scientologists, allowed them to invade my mind space, read my thoughts for personal entertainment, and to steal ideas. They started stealing intellectual property. I felt violently ill. They started giving me worms and these foreign objects. I started having to go to the hospital. My whole face swelled up and warped. Then over time, they took more and more they stole more and more intellectual property, and the communication grew worse and worse. They were extremely hostile. I am extremely ill. Then it turned into biological theft. They wanted the ability to produce intellectual property and to create in the same manner that I do. So they literally started taking brain tissue, my extra dimensional brain tissue, to use as transplants. Then they started taking the rest of my biology for use as surrogates. Yes, Scientologists need other people's biology to complete their Scientology process. I am very sick. Don't stick anything else inside of me. They like to stick foreign objects inside of me, particularly my brain, designed to control, to give me pain and suffering. So then it turned into a snuff film. People gave me parasites. Some people in the hive gave me parasites throughout this whole ordeal. They like driving them. They are addicted to it. And what do parasites do? They destroy biology and they eat human flesh. So they like to drive these parasites and control them. And this technology that they use allows them to control these parasites intricately. Uh, this technology allows them to drive other organisms as if they were in this organism. So it's as if they are the organism. It's like they become the organism they are driving. They can control every biological function and movement of the organism in which they control. Yes, they are addicts. This technology has a narcotic-like effect upon these people. On top of that, they are conditioned to take body parts from people, to lacerate and modify, and then they stick foreign objects inside of us, devices and other objects. They are conditioned to do this. On top of this, they are very criminal. So they like to exploit people, extort, kidnap, human traffic, break and entering, home invasion, biological weapons, destruction of private property, torture, rape, and murder. I'm very sick. My head hurts. My brain hurts. And brains do have feeling, by the way. It's probably the most sensitive organ in the human body. They have a lot of feeling. Yes, they do this for fun. So how having elevated neurochemistry, specifically dopamine, and then elevated hormones, it leads to psychological issues. These people are psychotic and delusional. So psychosis is when you dwell on ideas or thoughts nonstop over and over again, typically negative ones. They're delusional. They think there is some kind of value in torturing and hurting people. And they also have this religious zealotism and occult behavior going on, where they like to hurt people and torture people, uh, rape and murder, all in a religious ceremony or for a religious purpose. Yes, they like their symbols and things. They are having addictive tendencies. They do the same thing over and over and over again, and they get addicted to it. And their elevated dopamine levels is causing them to anticipate some kind of great outcome. So when you have elevated dopamine levels and you start to do something over and over again, you anticipate a climactic event. So whenever you achieve a goal, this goal, you're supposed to get a dopamine boost. It's going to stimulate the reward center in your brain, and it feels good to these people. Yes, they are anticipating some kind of grand outcome. They are jealous, petty, machoistic. So they see body parts as commodities. They are objects in which they can use to complete the Scientology process. It is of value to them. They can use other people's body parts as their own and experience this biology. They can also use it to create surrogates, or they can use it to help the owner uh, practice Scientology or assimilate into a hive mind or to feel pleasure, or they call it their wares. Yes, I suspect a lot of these people are abusing substances on top of this artificial stimulation. They are sociopathic. They have no empathy. Yes, they traffic humans, both for sexual purposes and for organ donations. So they get people coming in, or they go out and get people to come back to their place of employment or wherever they do it over and over and over again. Uh, they make these people feel good. They force them to assimilate, and then they take organs and tissues from these people. And the women, they usually don't fare too well. None of them do, but there's a lot of rape and torture and death that goes on in these institutions. Yes, I know a lot of these people. I've been hive mind for 13 years, and they communicate with me in the world as well as through this technology. Yes, I had to make these videos to alter their behavior. My brain feels very numb. My jaw hurts. Enoch is a surrogate, and I think someone else is using the name Enoch. So these people commit identity theft. They take people's biologies and then they assume the authority of these people. Very sick. So they are petty. They don't want me to have my own biology. So they have assaulted me greatly. And then I'll take care of myself and try to regenerate and I'll start growing back and they will see it and they will assault me again even more in the same place and in other places. And they like to do something where they give me a wound and then they will destroy the blood vessels and nerves around this wound growing back. Dead people and Scientologists, they have special abilities. Okay, in the afterlife, we have very powerful eyesight. We have 11 dimensional eyes, great big eyes. They can see everything in 11 dimensions, down to the molecular level. We can fly. We are invisible to third dimension. We can do molecular transfer. So, with a healthy biology and a healthy environment, we can move particles around with our mind. We can uh, interact and perceive biologies in a very intimate way. So, we can see biologies functioning. We can see our brain and central nervous system lining up. We can see energy flowing through our brain and our nerves. They can see particles flowing through us. They can see fluids and blood and particles flowing through us, digestion and fluids. And they can interact with biology, such as genetic material, so they can read and modify DNA strands in the upper dimensions to help organisms develop certain features or aspects. Scientology has produced a conflict of interest never before seen on Earth. In ancient times, these abilities were utilized to help life on this planet grow and develop, evolve. Now, Scientologists are using these abilities to practice Scientology, to steal biology, to control people, and to hurt people. So they're using these abilities on me. They can watch my biology function. They can see where I'm still functioning and lighting up and how my biology is functioning. And they like to assault nerves or vitals, try to stop it from working. They do this over and over again. Yes, they're twacked out of their head. Think both on digital devices and I am extremely ill. Uh, my biology is starved. I don't get it much nutrients anymore. My digestion is messed up. It's been damaged. When you lose extra dimensional biology, you lose the ability to process energy or food. Uh, I've lost a lot of brain function. So a lot of my higher thinking is gone. I've had damaged lung tissue. My blood flow is not working properly. I'm missing a lot of nerves. And I don't see as well as I used to. Even my smell and taste is messed up. Yeah, so over the past few days, they took my thalamus out and my hypothalamus. When I went to sleep, I was dreaming with my eyes wide open. My eyes were wide open, and they had some skit going in my brain where I was asleep. I woke up and my eyes were wide open. So they put a prosthetic device in it. It hurt, but it put something there which kind of helped. And then they used this object to contaminate my sinus cavities or my frontal lobe. Then they started driving worms into my brain and then in my jaw. As they are abusing their heavenly abilities. And then these government agents are abusing their authority. They are allowing themselves and civilians to get away with torture, rape, and murder, theft, intellectual property theft, all these crimes that I've explained. They do this to me no matter where I go, and it winds up being worse away from home. I'm on foot. They won't let me drive, and they won't let me have a job. They are extremely evil and violent, hostile. So I'm weak and dizzy, nauseous.